see what comes on through Champ Selectors. You're ready to go into the game? Casters, take it away.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Here we are, kicking off Dignitas versus Team Liquid. It's a couple of top lane bans here to start things off. Ornn and Rumble banned out.
I hope Lucian doesn't get banned.
You want to see the Huni Lucian?
It's been banned so much, and it is a really good solo lane flex pick here. I was also,
well, hopes are dashed.
I was watching Huni stream last night. He's so good at it.
So, although we lost a fun champion in the bans, we also lost the most unfun champion in League of Legends in Tom Kench.
True.
So, a little bit of good for evil here in the ban phase. Dignitas also going to ban the set out. We saw it honestly not do a whole lot in the 100 Thieves win just moments ago, but they're not experienced against it. They don't want to deal with it here. That's understandable. Akali, can't have a ban phase without Akali. That one's taken off the table as well. Thresh, the first pick here for Dig.
Yeah, and to be fair, if you want to build a composition that's heavily around engage and dive, Set is a good ban.
Yeah.
Because he does turn that around fairly easily. The Thresh first pick is a little bit interesting. This has been a support meta kind of dominated by Braum, Leona, and Nautilus. Thresh is definitely a pick with a lot of skill expression if Aphromoo is looking to roam around the map frequently.
Well, that Nautilus that you mentioned is going to be picked up in response. So we've got hooks versus hooks. We'll see who's more accurate for landing those.
And I think Nautilus is a bit of a soft counter into Thresh. The Thresh hook is a half-second cast time. Nautilus hook is a quarter-second cast time. So anytime Thresh roots himself to hook, you can land the Nautilus hook as a counter. So I think draft-wise, Thresh Aphelios versus Nautilus Senna is definitely a compositional advantage for TL.
And with the Gangplank locked in for Dig, that's a lot of damage here on this roster already, just in these first 3 picks.
Yeah, and it's 90% going to be a Gangplank top lane blind pick. So Huni is coming into this match with a ton of confidence.
Oh,
yeah. It's actually a position when, if you go back in time between the Huni Impact matchups, oftentimes it's Huni trying to carry against Impact and Impact being a brick wall that he's unable to carry through. But Aatrox is a little bit more of an aggressive pick, but still, it's incredibly dangerous to blind Gangplank.
And that brick wall point makes perfect sense to why Dignitas' first ban would be Ornn. If Huni wants to play something like Gangplank, scale into this mega damage threat later on, you don't want to deal with a mega meatball in response that's going to be buffing up his teammates' itemization as well. But Aatrox always a fun champion to watch, as Elise and LeBlanc are going to be banned away. It is bottom lanes locked in for both teams. It is top lanes locked in for both teams. Mid-jungle is the name of the game here in the second half of bans.
Yeah, it's all anecdotal, but Flowers, I was telling you last game, we keep seeing this. We keep seeing mirrored roles. And then bans coming through. So TL should have the advantage for a mid lane counter pick after this one, and I'd expect them to pick their jungle early. The J4 was something that Schernfire showed a preference for, so unless that's banned right here, I think we're going to be seeing Jarvan for Schernfire.
Yep, we still got Jarvan, Rek'Sai, Lee Sin all up. Those have been popular throughout global play so far, just being those level 3 power gankers. They have the ability to initiate. They have the ability to be on the map nice and early. Elise and Gragas, 2 more of those, but they are banned out. And Syndra's the ban. They want to keep Jensen off of a comfort pick in that. Orianna still available for either side. So that's kind of Dignitas saying, okay, you can have Orianna or you can have Jarvan with these comfort picks.
Yeah.
But then threatening to take the other one away.
That's basically what it is. I do think that it's still likely to be the Jarvan, but because there is such a level of comfort with Jensen on Orianna and for Froggen, wouldn't be too surprised. And they're just they're doing the switcheroo. They're going Lee Sin.
All right. Lee locked in for Schernfire. Big playmaker. A lot of opportunity there to really show off, flex those muscles for this kid that's coming into a spot that in the offseason you're never expecting him to even be in because Broxa was signed. Now the visa issues are showing up. This is Schernfire's chance to shine.
It is.
On the big stage. Let's see the lead.
And they give up the Jarvan and the Orianna for it. So Lee is also a pretty risky pick into Thresh. If you're trying to do any type of insect engaging, there's a lot of stuff Thresh can do with his hook and flay to stop you from being able to get off a proper kickback. I'm trying to think. The block is banned. Syndra's banned. The Rise is just kind of the generic play side waves, scale into teamfights pick for Jensen. That's what he goes with.
Rise locked in. That means even more damage. Both these sides, plenty of burst potential here between the teams. Plenty of initiation. You've got Thresh and Jarvan going up against Lee Sin and Nautilus. One of my favorite things to see coming out of a Champ Select is both teams having at least 2 champions who can start the fights off, because it means that they both have that much more decision-making power for when they decide they want to play aggressive League of Legends.
It's all about tools, and the 4-time in a row champions Team Liquid, who are playing without their starting jungler, still show the ability to use these tools. If we just think back to last week, they were down pretty substantially to TSM, staring an 0-2 in the face, and they just started controlling the pace of the game. They have so much experience and so much know-how about how to play lanes. It's why I've been so excited to see this matchup, because Dignitas looked about as good as anyone last week.
Yeah, Dignitas is one of the big winners of Week 1, and I think the point you made about Team Liquid versus TSM was fantastic, because you either win League of Legends by being explosive and surprising and just making all the right moves, or you win League of Legends by not being stupid. And Team Liquid won last week against TSM by not being stupid. They were at a point where one big mistake costs you Soul, it costs you Baron, it costs you the game, and everything's over. Many teams, when given that many opportunities to trip up, would have tripped. Team Liquid know exactly where their feet stand and made sure to avoid all the pitfalls.
And when everyone was doing their preseason power rankings of Team Liquid, you kind of look at their roster. Core JJ, an MVP down in the bot lane. Doublelift, an MVP down in the bot lane. Jensen, very nearly an MVP on multiple occasions in the mid lane. World champion top lane. Like, they're just so unfair on paper. It just seems like
broken.
They have all-stars in every role. Yet, they are in this point of vulnerability right now, where the offseason happens. A lot of teams did group camps. TL did not, right? Surenfire had about 3 days to play with the team before last week. Now it's going to be closer to 10. And they run into this team who actually has also a lot of star power, depending on which lens you look at it through. Aframu, a former MVP. Froggen, been a mid laner for 7 years, was the MVP of the EU LCS back in 2014. Huni, nearly an MVP in certain cases. So if things come together for Dignitas, they can also be a force to be reckoned with, and really looking forward to see them clash for the first time in 2020.
And it's always one of my favorite things at the beginning of a split, when a team does better than you're expecting them to do, like Dignitas did. You want them to stay like that for as long as possible, because it feels like every time a split shakes out by the end of it, you're always going to have either 2 or 3 teams that everybody's looking at as like, okay, they could legitimately win this. The more teams you get in that pool of these guys are serious contenders, the more fun the whole thing is.
Yeah, and no one aside from maybe Huni or people within the Dignitas organization consider Dig a serious threat to win the LCS.
Right.
And still, after 2 games, it's still, you don't say that, because a lot of it was like, well, can they make playoffs? But if they can put up convincing wins against TL, if they can continue to carry on, they can change that narrative fairly easily. And every matchup in this game is interesting to me, like the Huni versus Impact history, the Froggen versus Jensen, both being powerful Danish midliners, is interesting. But Johnson versus Doublelift is the thing that draws my eye in this matchup. Because not only do we have Aframu versus Doublelift kind of lane matchup new partners, we have someone who was one of, if not the best solo queue players on the server last year, with about a 65% win rate, 4 accounts in the top 20, and a guy who looked really good in his first 2 games, going up against a guy who's won 6 of his last 7 LCS splits as a dominant bot laner. So if Johnson could pop off this game, man, that would be exciting for me, just in terms of what the LCS would mean for the rest of the year.
And we throw the words rookie and veteran around pretty frequently talking about players, but I think the raw numbers say it all. Doublelift with his 429 LCS games. Johnson, you just scratch the 4 and the 9 off. He's got 2. So
Absurd, the experience.
Not quite comparable between these two, but like you said, it's Johnson who was popping off last week, had a really good first impression on the LCS, seeing if he can keep it up now. And in the jungle, I already talked about how for Surenfire, this is a really cool opportunity for him. Brox's misfortune is his chance to show what he's got here on the LCS stage. And Grig is another player who, I mean, last year he was on TSM that had a lot of troubles, didn't live up to expectations. There was a constant jungle swapping between him and Acadian. And when you look at this Dignitas roster, Huni, the history behind him, Froggen, the history behind him, Aframu, the history behind him, all 3 so well known. Johnson's the hot new rookie coming in. Grig's the guy that flies under the radar.
Yeah.
So this is your chance to pop off if you're him too. Both junglers, they got something to prove, and I love that.
everyone kind of auditioning in their own way. I want to pull us back to the game right now, though, because this type of vertical jungle split is TL's bread and butter. They get their jungler on their side of the map, and they try and make that kind of vertical split down the middle of the lane. So, like, this side, this whole side is TL's territory. And that allows Doublelift and Core JJ to go to work as much as possible. What Surenfire didn't do, though, I don't think, is farm the camps substantially. He did counter jungle the Krugs, which will hurt a little bit, and then Core JJ goes in to make vision. So in terms of like Johnson v Doublelift, sometimes you're just not allowed to try because of the way TL plays the map.
They play around the fact that they have that bottom lane that stands out so much. I mean, you mentioned they were both MVPs, but I feel like the conversations are always, okay, when we're ranking the bottom laners and the supports, these guys just stand out so much above everybody else. There's almost no one else competing for #1. It's like back in 2016 when you went into an international event knowing SKT would win it. You were just thinking about, okay, who's the runner-up?
Yeah.
They're the old SKT of North American bottom lane. You just don't compete with them.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe Dignitas will challenge that. 2020, it's a brand new world, brand new decade. Maybe Dignitas is the team to step up. Checking in here across the lane, seeing where the farm's at. It's pretty even, honestly, across the board. Biggest advantage being about 10 for impact there in the top side over Huni's Gangplank. But remember that advantages over Gangplank aren't quite as honest as they may seem because of his passive gold generation, because of the fact you can get so much extra money with the barrels, especially once you get rolling with items, so you can one-shot those waves. We'll see. Griggs farming up his prompt here. We'll see if Surenfire can make it happen here in the mid lane. Sonic Wave Resonating Strike. That's a flash of the Froggen.
Both summoner spells burned by Froggen, and something that I notice in TL games is how much better they are than other teams at attacking flashless players. So Froggen now, you're going to time that. 10-13 is going to be when his flash comes up again. I wouldn't even be too surprised to see if Core JJ roams to try and get something happening there with Flash Cleanse down. So even though that doesn't result in a kill, in a slow early game like that, very valuable to get both summoners.
And of course, if you don't pay that back, that just means that you're wasting the opportunity that you bought yourself there. So we'll see how well they cash in as Grig will clear out that control ward. Notice how he places the flag over the wall after the first auto attack, gives him the opportunity to only have to use one spell if he does get collapsed on. Just an extra safety measure there for all the Jarvan solo queue players looking to pick up a couple of tricks.
And it's still in range to give you extra attack speed, so you kill the ward faster too.
Everything about it just makes the clear a little bit more effective. Obviously, it doesn't make or break the game if you do it, but it helps. It can get you out of some sticky situations. Surenfire, here you go. Looking to return to mid. There comes a little bit of combo in the bottom lane with the CC. Unfortunately, Doublelift is so far back underneath the turret, it's not like he can follow up and go in on that, but I like the attempt coming out there as Huni's going in. It's also going to be a play here in the mid lane. Jensen's going to be taken down. First blood goes over to Dignitas.
Amazing Orianna ball play there by Froggen. As the flashless player, Jensen flashed backwards, still didn't make it out of the shockwave. Have to watch that one more time, but that completely turns the tides of that lane. They might go for more.
If Aphromoo hits a hook here, nope, all right, they're not going to go after it. That's too risky.
Yeah, can't wait to see that replay. I want to see if Froggen, I think it was just a shockwave position behind Jensen rather than just comboing off of Grig. No, Grig was just standing behind him, which is enough. So he eat onto Grig. Grig was behind, so when Jensen flashed backwards, he still got tagged by the other half of the shockwave. Surenfire, didn't really matter that the Q missed. He wasn't going to be killing him anyway. Good play.
And that's one of the moves you can make when you know that Team Liquid is one of those teams that's going to look to punish a flashless player. You're saying, all right, Froggen, push up. We're just going to make the gank happen first, and Dignitas pulls it off.
Big roam up, good for the mid lane, getting there first, and now Grig is level 6 against a flashless Rise. As soon as Froggen's ultimate is back up, they can go for a repeat on that game. Oh, and a very early swap by Dig. So check this out. Drake is still up. This is rare. A lot of times, a team will take an early Drake around 6 minutes and then lane swap to go for Rift Heralds. Huni knows he has a teleport advantage and knows Doublelift has already burned TP. So Dignitas is going straight for Rift Herald at 8 minutes on spawn. This is something that TL can't match.
Dignitas onto the objective now. Control ward in the pit just to make sure it's not warded out. Aphromoo hanging out on the side of mid lane here just in case somebody moves over. Core JJ wants to go check this. He knows
really
something's up. Level 5 here on the Nautilus. Remember, the ultimate is not available. Rift Herald is taken down to 2K. The eyeball gets procced one more time. They do want to smite this one away. Grig's able to secure it. Impact making his way down into the fight. Nice lantern, keeping Grig safe. And that was clean by Dignitas.
And Captain Flowers, that's so good for Dignitas. Not only do they get the Rift Herald, Huni didn't even have to burn his teleport, so Core JJ and Doublelift took 25 seconds walking up towards top lane. Huni's going to have his GP ultimate up in 45 seconds, so he can help protect the wave if TL tries to crash anywhere. That's going to be probably 4 or 5 plates worth of advantage based on that lane swap by Dignitas.
And I love seeing teams play proactively like this, especially in the face of one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league. Sometimes you see teams get a little scared. They have cold feet. They don't want to try to make a move they normally would because, oh, if it goes wrong, it'll definitely go wrong against this guy. But Dignitas are playing comfortably. They're playing confidently.
And I think more teams need to do that against Doublelift specifically, actually. Him and Core JJ are usually so good in lane, and Team Liquid is so good at just setting up the map to play around bottom side. Say you don't care about bottom side, right? Make Team Liquid adapt on the fly in that sense. Temporarily, Johnson sacked about 10 CS, but he got it back because Doublelift had to run up towards the rest of the map, and now Dignitas has a 1K gold lead because of map.
It's another interesting conversation around, like, you know, do you win League of Legends by playing smart or not playing dumb? Do you win League of Legends by playing your style or shutting down your opponent's style and trying to resist that as much as possible? We've seen different approaches. We've seen them both work in the past, but Dig seems to have come into this with a solid game plan.
Yeah.
They know what they want to do against Team Liquid. It's working so far here. 10-minute mark just now being crested, though. It's a 700 gold lead, 800 gold lead or so for the side of Dig, and we're going to see if they can keep this momentum up moving forward. As you already pointed out, and worth pointing out again because it's 3 minutes further than it was then, Drake is still up. This is a late first dragon.
I'm getting kind of giddy because Dignitas is doing all the things that I want them to do. Huni took 2 plates off bottom turret. That means Rift Herald Charge will kill from there. Normally, it's really hard to get the 4th and 5th plates on turrets because of the resistance. So they've swapped back, they're dropping, and they will get first turret off this push.
Here we go. Barrel's going to farm up those minions. Impact has already been forced back. You can see he had to use the World Ender already to escape. And there she goes. Shelly makes sure it gets rammed down. First turret gold, Dignitas.
And I love it. Look how much slower it is for TL to take these last plates. Because they've been here and the turret bonus armor MR has been building up so much, that turret is at 370 armor unless they reset. So on top of all the stuff they're already getting, they can get Drake after this too.
Dig's looking to take 2. The turret hasn't gone down. That was not coordinated properly. Grig goes in. He gets too far ahead of himself. He thinks, let's lock this guy down and then make a play after the turret. It's only 11 minutes in. That last 10% of the turret takes a hot minute to kill, and Grig gives over a freebie.
They did so much well.
They were so close.
I'm not going to dwell on the negative there where Grig decided to use Cataclysm instead of taking Drake. Because you can see they did get a lot of map advantage. And Huni's even able to come up here and salvage top turret, but that is a missed Cloud Drake because of Grig's misplay.
Dignitas still enjoying over a 1,000 gold lead. 2 turrets to 0, having taken both of them out there in the bottom side. Huni farming up. He's got the Sheen, makes the barrels that much more effective. Withering all the minions down to 1-hit range, and then bada bing, bada boom. The barrel explodes, and he cashes in for about 200 gold there. Schernfire still yet to get himself on the board here this game. The only kill and only death on the side of Dignitas being Grig, so at least he's getting involved as we'll see how Team Liquid respond to Dig's impressive early game.
Yeah, and the gold between Doublelift and Johnson, even though the CS is about 20 off, is actually relatively close because of the first turret bonus. He's only down 100 gold to Doublelift. Who's also gone Dark Harvest on Senate. We haven't necessarily talked about that. It is more damage late game, but you're losing some of the utility that the Glacial Augment has. Soul check-in, for those of you who are very curious, he's only at 16. So another thing about... Ooh, that's a little risky, Greg.
Yeah.
Another thing about Senna Souls is if you're not laning against anyone, it's harder to get souls.
Oh, Schernfire. This is the kind of a play we were looking for. Huni's got no way out. Chooses not to try to waste the flash there. Doesn't see any point in it. Schernfire makes the moves.
And this is where I want to see more proactivity out of Dignitas. That was a good play by Schernfire, but they burned a lot top lane, and that's either mid-turret plates or Cloud Drake that can be going over to Dig, as Huni will be able to respawn with the ultimate up. Aframu, with that hook down, means he can get aggressed on.
No hook there for Aframu. 1 plate taken. top side, that turret is going to fall. Of course, there are still 30 seconds left before the plates go away, so Jensen gets some extra money on that one. And that's the sign, though, for Dignitas to go after this Cloud Drake. Is this the latest first Drake we've seen so far in LCS over the course of last weekend now? Because that's a 13.5-minute Drake 1. That's pretty slow.
That's normally the question I ask, but I usually press the talkback button and say Jat for stats, and then they'll tell me.
I'm posing the question to the audience so we can share a thought process.
It's late.
Okay.
That's what I know.
All right.
I'm not sure if it's the latest. And it will mean that this could be a game where both teams end up scaling a lot into the late game. I mean, Huni is going to need a bunch of items. We've seen the way Orianna and Aphelios can scale, especially once you get Hurricane and Infinity Edge. It's set up to be a doozy.
Well, I was just told by stats in my ear that, yes, this is the latest one. Because, see, they're part of the audience, so they were listening.
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
They're there with us. We're all here in spirit watching the game. As you can see, the turret plates, it's coming up 6 for Dig, 5 for TL. So even though Dig did have that advantage early on with the Rift Herald shoving down the bottom side, it all comes out pretty close here. And 14.5 minutes into the game, it's 500 gold separating Dig and TL. TL doing a good job making up for that lead that Dig was building.
For sure. And everything we observe about Team Liquid in the early season is going to have to be taken with a grain of salt because they are still playing with Fire and not Broxa, and junglers are incredibly important in the way a competitive team works. With that being said, even just last week against TSM, you could tell that the way TL plays the map is still amongst the elite. They're incredibly good at keeping CS high on side lanes while minimizing deaths. So with this game approaching 15 minutes even, let's see if Dig can keep up. Because TSM was unable to keep up. They had the large lead, they couldn't secure Dragon Soul, and it went from there. Now, TL has set up good vision around the Rift Herald, and Dig is a little bit slow in trying to get involved. Look at how little they see.
You've got Impact waiting over the wall there. Dig does know that he's right around the area, but Team Liquid will manage to secure Shelly number 2 for themselves. Dig have priority over the mid lane. They have a Demolish ticking down on that turret, so they should be able to take this one out before TL's in position to respond. So at least it's objective for objective. So now the question becomes, what does the value of that Rift Herald mean for TL? Can they get a good use?
I could make an argument that right now, that trade is in favor of Dignitas because the expected value of a 60-minute Rift Herald is breaking mid. If your mid gets broken while taking it, what are you doing?
You just traded the expected value for an actual outcome, which isn't always the best.
Yeah, but the Rift Herald can still get 2 turrets in the right situation. So we'll have to see what the play of Fire's Rift Herald is from there. Another thing, actually, just like a nitpicky thing.
All right, little tiny thing. What do you got?
I don't like it when Lee Sins pick up Herald because
you don't get the ward for your trinket
slot
to hop to. Yeah,
to hop to. So you're unable to do insects. I do like it if you had just used all of your trinkets anyway, because the Rift Herald actually resets the cooldown of your trinkets. So you should use it, pick up Rift Herald, use Rift Herald, and then your wards are back. So that's nice, but for now, don't like it.
Ooh, double lift. Getting caught out there. Flash follow from Afromoo. Oh, baby, that's the setup.
That was sweet.
That was real slick between Johnson and Afromoo. They root him with the Gravitum. They follow it up with Afromoo and double lift. He said, I don't care if you got 429 games. Get in the ground.
First death of the game for double lift. And unfortunately, the kill doesn't go to Johnson. They really would have wanted him to be able to get that item edge. But let's just watch this once again. Has the Gravitum, lands the ult. That's a guaranteed root.
Oh.
Afromoo has flash too, bro. So if you're going to flash away while rooted...
Support's so easy, bro.
He's going to get you. Now with double lift in the death chamber, they're trying to make a play top. Double lift does have TP, though, if he wants to match.
Krieg and the rest of Dignitas pushing onto this tier 1. The last one standing on the side of TL. But Dig will not overcommit to that one here just yet. Summoner spells, they're ready to go. Dignitas not going to find any sort of a hit there from the combo from Greg. Instead, just going to back away here. Drake will be live in 40 seconds. It is an Ocean Drake. With Cloud already having been taken, that means we're going to get either a second Mountain Soul for the day, or we'll get the Infernal Soul. Huni, oh, you hate to see the barrels happen like that.
Yeah, probably a mind game there where he thought Impact was going to do the auto, so he tried to preempt the parlay. Is always a little bit of a survival game against an Aatrox in these side lanes, and if the map kind of stays like this, just like watch watch what line the minions end up hitting on both sides, because if it stays like this, then generally speaking, TL is going to be able to get inside track for this next Drake. Because you just saw Dignitas had to go catch those waves before resetting. But they do really want to start controlling this Drake game, since they have the Orianna at level 13 with some pretty good items to try and control this zone.
Speaking of items, I also like the Executioner's Calling. Pick up nice and early on Huni's Gangplank. Make sure you cut down the healing of the Aatrox, either in the side lane or in a team fight. Team Liquid not going to contest this Drake. That one's taken down, and it looks like it's Infernal on the Rift. The jungle burns away. That means we're going to get that Luden's Echo-esque Dragon Soul if either team's able to claim it, and more damage will be coming online as this game goes forward. Considering both top laners are damage heavy, that's really important for both teams.
Yeah, Infernal is an explosive Drake Soul for either one of these teams. Going to be something that TL definitely wants to prevent from happening, and it's actually quite normal that a team will forego the second Drake in lieu of side lane pressure, which is what Jensen was able to get there, because if he can get to a point where he can 1v1 the GP or the Orianna, that opens up everything for TL. And here's the Rift Herald.
There we go.
One turret onto Impact, so they're trying to power him up, and the question will be, how much can you get on the second turret with that charge?
And Team Liquid last week in their game up against TSM, remember, they were down Drakes in that one as well. TSM was on Soul Point for so long, and TL were able to hold it back, stop them from getting that one. Oh, man, that was fast. Woo! She was dashing away. You saw her just starting to sprint, but luckily Huni was ready. Oh, that's way close, especially since even at the lowest amount of HP, she takes off like 60% of the turret's health. That's saving quite a lot there for later on. Grig's going to lose a third of his HP here on the top side. Face checking that brush towards Jensen, but now Grig and Froggen, they've got the opportunity to hit this tier 1 turret, knock that one down, more money in their pockets, but the gold is still less than 500 away. This is such a close game between these teams.
I'm really enjoying this, even though it's low on kills. It's been a high-level game in terms of the objectives they're trading, not taking any foolish fights. Both teams do have a lot of initiation tools, but they need to set it up properly, and for the most part, they're TL's bouncing waves and kind of trying to stall the game out, so that's what's happening.
So even though the plates were pretty much even between the teams, and TL is down 2 turrets, they're farming better. Even up against the Gangplank gold advantage, you've got Impact with more CS. If you look at the mid lane, Jensen's got some more CS. Doublelift's got more in the bottom side. Even in the roles that it doesn't mean as much with jungle and support, they've got more. And that's why the gold is so close despite the turret advantage for Dignitas. TL is one of those teams that when you look at them against other LCS squads, a lot of times they will just passively win because they farm better.
Yeah, and in terms of like farming better, there's so much that goes into that. So much of what TL does is they pick really, at least in this game, they have very strong side laners, but initiation attempt.
There we go, it's Grig initiating onto Doublelift. He's gonna be bursted down, the damage is there. Where's the follow-up from Dignitas? Doublelift is exploded, that's gonna be a 1-for-1. CoreJJ barely looking to get himself away from this one. Impact gonna be tanking up 3, make it 4. Huni's able to find him here on the side, still looking to grab a little bit more damage. Barrels won't be able to find him, and that's just a 1-for-1, but it's jungle for AD carry, and Dignitas feel good about it.
Wow, that could have been so much more. It looked like TL was incredibly low, and then Jensen still clears the wave. That's such a TL thing to have happen, if that makes sense. Like, that was a fight that I think for a lot of teams, they lose 3 or 4 people. So Grig goes in, he's a little bit early on top of the GP ult, and they burst him down. But look how low everyone else is. Like, the shockwave, probably a little bit wasted. CoreJJ always getting out with a fraction of health. And then Impact actually making this escape, leapfrogging Huni on the way out. Having all of that just result in a 1-for-1 when it looked like Dignitas had the big jump, just keeps the game close. That could have been a moment where TL gets wiped, Baron goes over or something, but it was not.
Aframu also just used the flash there to try to flash hook Schernfire in the brush. Important to keep track of that summoner, especially on a champion like Thresh that's a very big playmaker, so Afro won't have that here for the next 5 minutes. Third Drake is coming online about 60 seconds from now. Dignitas with that ever so slight gold advantage over their opponents. Doublelift sitting on 1, 2, and 0 here on the Senna. Has 1 lethality item, Serrated Dirk in inventory, so working on the second one means he'll be very effective dealing damage to a team that honestly has no armor outside of a Ninja Tabby on the Gangplank, and the Chain Vest and Ninja Tabby. Obviously, the Jarvan's going to be getting tanky, but the rest of them pretty easy to burst through with that Senna damage, especially, as you mentioned, with Dark Harvest playing a factor.
And he's going to have his 40th soul off of that red buff, so his range increase is now at 50 beyond his max range that he starts the game with. Still just one Dark Harvest stack, so not the greatest use of the stone as of yet. But third Drake is a big form of contention right now. You can see the side waves consistently pushed, but mid priority has been for Dignitas the whole game.
3 seconds till the Infernal comes up. Dignitas seem to be looking to threaten Team Liquid away beforehand. You can see Jensen is off in the bottom side of the TL jungle. He can Realm Warp into the fight if need be. Level 13 on that rise. Very scary. Level 15, excuse me. Read the number wrong.
Yeah. If we see a fight, pay attention to CoreJJ's Stone Plate. He's incredibly tanky right now, so he might look...
Oh, Schernfire down to 25% HP. You don't want to be sending your jungler into the pit like that. Grig and Huni putting in the work on the Infernal Drake. That one's going to be secured, and Dignitas are on Drake point. This is where Liquid were last week as well. TL with control over the mid lane. They have priority, looking to push up into that tier 1, but the Gangplank ulti comes down. Infernal Chains only find their way onto Aframu. Not really the guy you want to initiate on here, but the GP ult is enough to save the tier 1 turret, give Dig the opportunity to get in position, and man, Schernfire can just not stop getting chunked out here.
It's a hard world out there for a guy in his third
rough,
LCS
man.
game, which is where Schernfire and Johnson actually are both positioned. And yes, Flowers, we have been here before. It's soul point for Dignitas with even gold in the game. So the power of these 3 Drakes is actually really small compared to what these 3 Drake symbols would have meant last season. The Infernal Drake is 4%, whereas last season the first Infernal was 10%.
It's a lot.
It's a big difference. So it's not like Dignitas is super powered up here. They need to have the same type of play for the next moment that Infernal comes up for in 4 minutes, where they will have to deal with the Stone Plate. You know, Schernfire is going to do his damnedest to not get chunked out by Frog and Shockwave. That's the thing to clinch this. But Dignitas is going to have to run that play successfully again to actually get the payoff.
But if you do get that 4th Drake on the side of Dig, all of a sudden those 4 Drakes become worth so much more than they were last year because of those Infernal procs, because of the fact that you get that much more front-loaded damage to blow up the Team Liquid lineup that, let's be honest, aside from Stoneplate Nautilus, there's not really a tank. GP ulti summoned up there. Dig looking to chase down Doublelift and CoreJJ. Jensen and Impact will join up. Pooney's over the wall, looking if there's an opportunity to go in here. Team Liquid will bring in the cavalry, and the fight's going to break out. Turret placed down. CoreJJ walking himself away. Redemption also going to be used now.
This is awkward.
Rick locked up. Impact's off to the side. The fight's breaking off in 2 different places at once. CoreJJ looking to find the initiation. Gargoyle Stoneplate is used. Schernfire into the stasis. CoreJJ taken very low. Schern going to be kept alive. Aframu the first to die. CoreJJ going to follow him thereafter. It is 1 for 1. Supports are out. And the Shockwave finds nothing but air. Team Liquid, their jungler is very low, but they've gone even on the fight.
Oh, what a fight that was. Doublelift walking out of it alive as he kind of meandered into the enemy jungle to try and retreat. And what does keep happening at the end of these fights is Jensen will be there to push his side lane. Level 16 Rise now, 3 full items, 300 CS at 27 minutes. That's going to be the carry for this TL team if they end up winning.
Well, you've also got Huni to answer him, which a lot of times you see these Rises get really scary when there's no answer in the side lane. Gangplank at least has the ability to blow up the wave. But you had to make me a liar, man. Right then, right there. Well, Jensen makes it happen. I don't know what I'm talking about. That Rise just kaboom blows him up.
He answered in a way, it's like, Jensen, surprise, you won 300 gold. Like,
that was...
he won the Huni contest where he gets the Huni.
Oh, man.
But Huni didn't die in week 1, caught out there. He has no MR on GP. You actually can't match that Rise with that GP. Huni learned that the hard way, but now with Baron up and Huni dead, I mean, maybe TL just turns straight for Baron. This is that championship mentality.
One mistake can be what shifts the game when it's this close the entire time. Team Liquid now, with that kill, with the turret that followed after, they're 1,500 gold up. Did I say 1,500 gold? I meant 2,000 gold up, and they're pressuring bottom lane in him. Froggen makes his way back into the base. He's 2 levels down on this Rise. Jensen's level 17 Afromu's coming in from behind. This is a pretty big pick to make. Nice escape coming out from Jensen. Afromu doesn't want to chase this one down alone. But that means Team Liquid are now onto the Baron. They recognize the investment in the bottom side of the map made by Dignitas. The GP ulti not available. You can't just fire that into the pit here. And TL have ported Rise in with the teleport.
Senate teams are slow at Baron, though. Look how slowly it's going down. They might contest.
Aphelios drops the Infernum with the Moonlight Vigil. Here we go. Grig gonna be knocked out of the pit. Taken down. Doublelift's able to find the secure. CoreJJ tries to run away. Nice hook onto Schernfire. Is gonna find one pick, but Dig needs more than one. CoreJJ still walking away, and that is a win for TL.
It is, but look at this timer, Flowers. 30 seconds on Infernal Drake with their jungler dead. No way he can make it to the Infernal Drake by the time it spawns. Dignitas going to group that. This could be one of those situations where they're trading a Baron for a permanent soul on the other side.
Impact and Doublelift both have teleports ready to go if they decide they want to make some sort of a move for this. Impact threatening that top lane of Dignitas, looking to barrel down. He takes out the tier 2 turret. Team Liquid now with a 3,000 gold advantage. But Dignitas, they're camping this pit. They know what they want. They're here for it, and they're going.
There's
Drake is burning away way too quickly. No way for TL to contest this one. That is Drake's soul. 29 minutes in for the side of Dignitas. Froggen makes his way back to the base to protect the second inhibitor turret, and he'll keep that alive.
We got ourselves a game. I was really looking forward to this one.
This is fun.
Sure, it's only 5 kills to 5, but we are at such an interesting point where the team that got the Dragon Soul is completely behind in pressure, and the question will be, can they even get these fights? Like, Jensen's about to finish his death cap, and there's no one who can match him 1v1, arguably even 2v1 if he plays properly. So how much is this Infernal Soul really going to matter? We'll have to see.
And it also brings up the question, if Team Liquid can continue building a lead over the course of the next 5 minutes, and Elder spawns, and Dig don't feel like they can fight for that, well, now you're in a really bad spot because you're potentially giving away that incredibly powerful buff to the side of TL. Baron power play, still only pretty much the value of the Baron itself. 1 minute left to play with. Jensen's going to be split pushing. We've seen the Rise be the win condition. Already level 18. Cannot level up any higher. Look at the items in the inventory. Working on the hat now. Already has Leandries and Rylai's. The slows, it means he's never getting off you if you're alone with him in the 1v1.
And for now, Dignitas is just trying to wait out the extra 50 seconds that this Baron power play has against Team Liquid. I do want to point out the Bloodthirster on the way for Johnson. Very surprised we're not seeing a Hurricane. It's has some absolutely absurd synergies with the way Aphelios' kit works, but going with the defensive option in Bloodthirster, definitely kind of slowing down what he's going to do, and Dignitas is just completely on the defensive here for another 30 seconds.
Bloodthirster will, the shield from Bloodthirster will have you survive about half of an extra Rise Q, so.
Yeah, right? It can maybe help with poke from a Senna or something who once the RFC is completed, which it is now, like an auto Q from an RFC Senna is about half your health, so I can kind of see it. 65 stacks of Senna Souls, 1 stack of Dark Harvest for Doublelift.
The Dark Harvest not really paying dividends here so far in this game as Grig tries to go in. Can they find the initiation they're looking for? Doublelift's going to get himself away. CoreJJ now the target. Realm Warp's coming in, and that means you got to be careful. Grig is left for dead, flashing over the wall to stay alive. Nice sidestep away from the overload from Jensen. Dignitas disengage, and TL play that one well.
Yeah, CoreJJ, even though he was flashless, does have a stone plate, so he's incredibly hard to kill. I think it would have been better for Grig to ult Doublelift and just go flash for the next time, but understand why he tried to ult the flashless player. Now TL continues to push.
Tier 2 turret falls as the Baron buff dissipates. Team Liquid now still sitting on that 3,000 gold advantage. It is 2.5 minutes until Baron. It is 3 minutes until Elder Drake. And Team Liquid seem to be feeling very comfortable with where they're at in this game. The extra burst damage from that Infernal Soul, as you already mentioned, not enough to blow up CoreJJ through the stone plate. And that means that Grig and the rest of Dignitas need to find these initiations onto valuable targets. But Jensen, he's got the Seraph's Embrace and a ton of items. He's practically full build here on the Rise. Doublelift on the Senna is a much more vulnerable target, but does still have the flash available. And everybody else isn't really worth trying to blow up. You've got to get either the Senna or the Rise.
You really do. The Rise is going to be incredibly hard. I got a number for you. The number is 842. That's the amount of AP that Jensen currently has.
That's
a
number.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Doublelift. These numbers are less impressive. 70 souls. I know people always want to know that. 2 stacks of Dark Harvest, double what he had the last time we checked in. But overall, it is a lot about this next Drake that comes up in 2 minutes, the next Baron that comes up in 1:15, but whether or not the side lanes are pushed. Because TL is in a position where they actually don't want to just 5v5 the GP of Felios Orianna, so they're doing everything they can to push these side waves and avoid initiation. So far it's worked out, but one mistake could mean the game.
All right, Dignitas, let's see what you can do here. Mid lane inhibitor turret being attacked, down to about half HP. Dig don't want to overcommit. Jensen is in the bottom lane. The inhibitor is exposed. And for those of you who want a translation of that AP into raw damage, if he hits his overload on a target marked with a spell flux, it'll do a little bit over 1,200 before magic resistance on a spammable spell. Very, very scary to have to deal with this guy in a side lane. Yeah. Dignitas doesn't seem to really have much of an answer to that. You can see Huni's build, still no magic resistance on the Gangplank, wants to go with a full damage approach, has full CDR, has the big damage crit items, has another cloak in the inventory to continue working towards that. But man, is this scary. If you mess up even once, Jensen takes the game.
Yeah, no one building any MR don't really have the greatest windows to do so because of the way they want to team fight, but it's not even about like can't side lane against him. Like you can just look at waves. If he ever sees you, he goes for you. But Baron's up. They will have to 50-50 this, and they still probably lose their inhibitor. This is a difficult call for Dignitas.
Let's see if they stick with it though. Grig is in the pit, the Baron down to 1/3. Grig half HP, damage over the wall coming in from Doublelift. Froggen is rooted up.
They're committed. I mean, Jensen just took the inhib, so...
Inhib is gone. You have to fight for this if you're Dignitas. CoreJJ going to be there on the front line, having to flash away. Stoneplate keeping him alive. Nice ulti coming down onto 2. Schernfire going to be taken low. Froggen on a rampage. CoreJJ gone. But Jensen is still in the base. Impact's being chased out. Dignitas has to fall back. Their base is under pressure. Huni's made his way back. It is a 1-death trade for an inhib on the side of Team Liquid.
TL takes those. It's more power for Jensen, it's more inhibitor power, and the Elder Drake is up. While everyone on Dignitas is on reset, Jensen gets the jump for it.
Remember what I said, if Elder Drake comes up and you're not in control of the map, is this a bad thing to take the Dragon Soul this early? And it looks like Dignitas will now have to contest for this. If you can't deal with Rise, I'm pretty sure EQ with Elder Drake just kills anybody.
And Grig's Stoneplate is on cooldown, plus he's half health. This is the same thing we just saw. But actually, Team Liquid says it's not worth trying to 50-50. It goes over. I mean, Schernfire is low, Doublelift is in base. They're just rushing the Baron.
All right, they're trading Uber buff for Uber buff. Team Liquid going after the Baron, but Dignitas not willing to concede. It's Huni in the bottom lane. Could he be ready? It's Infernal Soul with Elder Drake. It's going to be explosions and lasers and explosions and lasers. Ooh. It is secured by Schernfire, who is immediately destroyed. Trade for junglers. Griggs over the wall, but he's taken down. More damage coming through. CoreJJ trying to walk out of that Gangplank ulti. 1-for-1, 1 super buff on each side. What a game.
Wow. Sometimes I talk about risk tolerance. You know how risky it is to put your whole team in a pit when the other team has Infernal Soul and Elder and a level 17 Orianna?
And a Gangplank.
And you know what happens?
You get Baron.
Get Baron. Like, that was the risk that they took, but they get the payout. They deny Baron from Dignitas. It's going to be incredibly hard in the next 2 minutes for Dig to actually get a fight with the way Jensen has master manipulation of these side waves. And it looks like TL, as weird as it sounds, just keeps kind of stacking their advantages, even though they're not the team with Soul and they're not the team with Elder.
The Elder will despawn 15 seconds or so before the Baron power play does. Dignitas would like to try to find a fight in that window, but I highly doubt Team Liquid will give them one unless Dig pulls off something just absolutely crazy.
I don't know if they can get
and Aphromoo coming in for the collapse, but Aphromoo's health just evaporates. Jensen walking away, but a nice shot comes out from Johnson, and the damage comes down. Jensen is out of the picture for 60 seconds. Yes, it's a 1-for-1 in a 4v1, but you take those if it gets rid of the Rise.
Yeah, are we sure Aphromoo was there? Because he's not there anymore.
He was a faint memory in the top lane.
Yeah, and that was what I was saying. Aftermu was too early to that play, and Jensen knows how powerful he was. Nearly got out. That could have been just a mega hero moment, but it just kind of adds to the stall. Once Jensen is down, the split push does stop. Let's watch this again. I mean, it's not that complicated. It's EQ, EQ.
EQ, EQ,
Yeah.
EQ, EQ.
Yeah, he only needed the first two because he's done the other work, and then Froggen got enough damage right before the Realm Warp goes off.
Must be so easy to be Rise. Your alphabet only has 2 letters in it. Either way, it's a push coming up from Dignitas here in the mid lane. Double is going to be forced to flash away. Core JJ under pressure now. Impact's taken into the Resurrection. Guardian Angel coming out there, but Double Lift. Wham, bam, that's the shot you need. Grig will now be slammed into the ground. And as Dig try to punish TL, they are the ones who overcommit.
Wow. Elder Dragon is now gone. I wonder, actually, how much TL can get off of this. These are very long death timers. There is an exposed bottom lane. This is at least another inhib, but there's a chance they go for the game with how tanky Core JJ can be in keeping these minis alive.
I mean, you've got Jensen back. You can blow the remaining members up so easy. The Gangplank ulti is used, trying to clear out the waves. Team Liquid, they're just soaking it. They take down the inhibitor turret. Inhibitor now the target. Dignitas has to pull off the defense here. Team Liquid rotating down to the bottom side. They know they've got another wave right there. They'll walk this one in. It's 2 waves. Inhib now the target. The Realm Warp used wonderfully for that. Jensen making full use of the Rise kit here. Aframu finds a hook, but it's only onto Core JJ. Great going in, he's able to find the Cataclysm onto 3. Damage going through, Jensen shut down. Oh my goodness gracious! It's a double kill for Johnson. It's a team fight for Dig. Double Lift's looking to make some kind of a fight, but Grig will keep him busy. Stasis coming out, and D-Lift is the one man standing on the side of Team Liquid.
From one side to the other, now we're wondering if Dig can end, because Huni has been escorting that wave in the mid lane, and everyone on Dignitas is still alive. If he can keep those minions there, and they can stop this Double Lift recall,
protect the VIP minions, the name of the game for Dignitas.
Aframu's looking for him. If he can stop this recall, I think the game is over.
Aframu has to stop it. He doesn't get there in time. Double Lift makes his way back to the base, and how far will Dig go? It's 7 seconds on Core JJ. It is 8 on Schernfire. The Dig push continues. The game ends here, one way or the other. Nexus turret's under fire. Core JJ and Double Lift looking to stop him. Damage coming through. Dignitas members, they've targeted the Nexus. They'll take it down. Team Liquid fall to Dignitas.
And Dignitas stays undefeated to start the year. Flowers, that was a back and forth battle. Dragon Soul, Elder Dragon, you were never sure if it was gonna be enough. Ultimately, it was.
What a slugfest. It looked like Team Liquid were the ones getting the punish on Dignitas for trying to push the base too hard. But TL says, no, we can win the game right here. They go for the final inhibitor push, and as they're going to take that 3rd inhib, Dig is swift, they make the strike, and that's exactly what I was talking about when I said I want to see these teams play confidently against Liquid. That was the Chad play right there. It was time to put up or shut up, and Dig put up.
I mean, you could see TL was going for the jugular there when they Realm Warped in to try and get that 3rd inhibitor. If you get the 3rd inhibitor, right, with the split push that they had, the game was going to end one way or the other. It really did come down to that defining moment, and 41 minutes of Dignitas trying to get that big all-in team fight, and that last one was finally Cataclysm into Infernum Aphelios Assault with a Shockwave.
With Infernal Drake Soul.
Yeah.
It was just pop. You saw Jensen was the first one to explode in the fight, and that is so critical, because we saw what he can do if he's left alive for any amount of time. It's exactly what Dig needed, and damn if you are not elated as a Dignitas fan seeing that one, seeing them take down TL. As you already said, though, at the beginning of the game, taken with a grain of salt, Brox is not here.
Right.
But a win against TL is still a win against TL, and that bodes very well moving forward.
Yeah, just going through the season, this is still an incredibly new roster. So
yes,
it's a win against TL. They only have to play them one more time. throughout the year. That one will probably be with Broxa, but it's still a great sign.
You're halfway done if you're Dignitas, but let's go ahead and send things down to Riv. He's ready with an interview with the Dignitas jungler.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am joined by Dig Grig as they dig down deep and take down Team Liquid today. An undefeated spring record, but just go over the end of that game or even the whole game quickly. What were the communications like? It seemed super intense.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty hard to deal with the Rise at the end of the game, so he was just constantly splitting, so we realized we had to like push him out so he couldn't end the game and then just look for a team fight. Honestly, they ended up just making a mistake at the end of the game and taking a front on 5v5 with us, so we were able to win it and end up getting the win there, yeah.
God, it sounds so much easier when you say it, Greg. Looking at how you're doing, we know last year and for a bit you've been plagued with the wrist issues, but it seems like you're feeling great. Can you talk to us a bit about that?
Yeah, no, I'm feeling a lot better now. You know, it's happened to other pros as well, so, you know, players like Mickey X, Licorice, and they've all managed to come back, so that was pretty encouraging for me. So, yeah, my wrist is fine now, so it's good, yeah.
It's great to see you're getting back into form. Greg, you've been on many teams back from TSM, Echo Fox, and it keeps going back before that. Do you notice any differences here with Dignitas? Obviously, you guys are undefeated, and that always feels good. It's hard to find the errors in wins, but what's different about this team that you think's making it click?
I think Hooney's definitely a very interesting player to play with. He's super commanding and puts the team together. So I think that's a player I haven't worked with someone like that before, so that's one difference. But I mean, you know, the teams I've been on have also been fun before, so this one's really fun as well, and yeah, it's going well.
Greg, thanks for taking the time. Congratulations on the undefeated record for spring, and we're going to throw it to the State Farm analyst desk to break that one down.
Thank you very much, Rislin Bislin. Welcome to the State Farm Analyst Desk. This was a hype game.
Yeah.
Shout outs to Mark Z, who called that team
Just like I thought it would happen.
will lose, and Dignitas. Woo, woo.
Oh, that's right there now.
Yeah, they're an owl. Who could have predicted this?
I did, but not like this. This was a very strange game. Lots
knew it
of
was
back
gonna
and
be like
forth.
this.
Dragon Soul. Other team gets double Baron.
Yeah.
Last second kill to be able to finish the game. It was really insane.
Yeah, it was a little fast. And when I mean fast, I mean it was not fast at all, and that was an extremely slow game.
Sure.
That was a really big buildup of all the Drakes that I think the first Drake was something like 13 minutes.
Yeah,
14 minutes?
14 and change.
Yeah, so it was definitely like a really slow Drake game. I do appreciate a lot of the macro. I think Dig has some really strong swaps in there. And I don't know, the bot lane matchup that we were talking about wasn't as volatile as I thought. I know Dig first picked that Thresh, so they had a strong matchup. But eventually we got into this like swapping position where Dig is just constantly swapping away from Doublelift over and over again.
Yeah, Doublelift had I think around a 10 CS lead.
11 CS lead, but it was like only like a 33 gold lead.
Right. It was keeping in line with what we had seen, at least about the CSD, about debuts against Doublelift. But the fact that they were able to offset that, like you're saying with the swapping, was really good to see. As well as while they were doing that, they were still getting all the dragons so that they could get the early soul because they only needed 2 more, and they continued to control. It had a really good job getting mid priority before going for those dragons.
Yeah, and this was a really interesting game, I thought, because the swap at 8 minutes is not crazy nowadays.
No,
8-minute swap
common.
is pretty standard, but usually during this time, we see a dragon dead. So the swap, like, well, you know, they can't take a dragon when you swap. Anyways, once we saw the swap, I think 3 pretty strong reasons. 1, Dig is swapping away from Doublelift, who's known to be a lane player. Pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Second one, they're playing against Gangplank. He has a pretty disruptive ultimate. When you try to swap, he can give you so much tempo by just deleting all the minions, keeping your turret alive. And then third, they're playing against Senna, and I did not realize how painfully slow Senna is at taking these objectives. There's that clip we just had where Nautilus and Senna are just whacking the turret, trying to take it down, and they can't. And you see Dig on the bot side took 2 turrets before they could take 1.
Yep, so the early game, it ended up still fairly close overall. Gold was pretty neck and neck despite the dragon difference and those swap differences, but we had some big fights here. Jensen splitting bot while TL sets up for Baron. You mentioned Senna killing objective slow, also kills objective slow up in this side of the map.
Finds a side lane. A rise in the side lane. What do you know? NA's dealing it.
Yeah, we're in NA.
But what's really important here is when Dig contests, look how long they spend on Core JJ. Both Hooney and Johnson, instead of following up on where Johnson landed his ult, Doublelift and Jensen get super low, but they get caught up on Core JJ. Good job by Core JJ presenting himself as a target. Dig deserves a little bit of criticism for focusing on hitting him so hard. They could have kind of just tried to run past him and get the actual carries who were low, and Baron was low, and so it would have created a tough situation for TL to peel off at 800, 400 health or to finish the Baron. But, I mean, good job for TL staying focused. Good job for Core JJ distracting.
Yeah, a couple of I think interesting points there is the first time we saw Jensen split in the bot lane, didn't have TP up to join the squad, and so when he got the inhibitor at the first time and no one really contested him, there's actually no threat on Baron, right? It's just the Senna Aatrox only happens. The second time he has TP, that's when they actually send the Thresh and the Orianna down. TP's topside, now it's 5v3 on Baron. They get the Baron that time around, right? And so you have to make sure you're actually tracking, because Ryze is the objective killer. Like that has to be part of the squad, which means he has to burn that 6-minute cooldown in order to make those come through. Very fortunate for Dignitas that they managed to pick off Grig both times to set up their other objective takes. That kill right there from that replay is why they got the Dragon Soul. The second one's how they got Elder Dragon. We do have one final replay of the last fight of the game, which was a doozy.
Yeah, I mean, this is the point in time where you think it's all over, but a huge purple ultimate from Johnson sets up a monster wombo with Grig, as well as Huni landing a barrel, blowing up the front line. Yeah, everyone just blown up right at the beginning, so there's only a couple people left alive. Doublelift does his best to try and turn this one, but there's just not enough support from the rest of the team.
Yeah, at this point, like, Johnson is just way too strong, and this is actually his purple R initiation actually caught out Doublelift in the mid lane. I think it initiated like 2 other fights, so
yeah.
I'm gonna keep calling it purple R because that's just the way I know it, but I'm telling you, that's a good skill to follow.
Gravitum.
Yeah. That is the skill to be using to catch people. It's just like the Varus, but longer range, and it feels better.
Yeah, really good skill. I mean, as you mentioned, it picked up double earlier in the game, which set up some of the other parts of this one. Definitely close one, though. We were kind of taking a lot of time going back and forth, looking at each of these plays. There were several times where it might have looked like, oh, Team Liquid just like gave away a dragon, but it's like, well, it was a 4v5 on the map, and a lot of times like they got what they could. They got like a top tier 2, and they forced the Orion on the side of the map. Like there are a lot of really tight calls.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the goal graph was back and forth. There was even that play where Schernfire had a good insect kick into Froggen when they were pushing down the mid inhibitor turret. So like everyone at different points in that game stepped up and looked really impressive.
Yep, I like both teams, both very strong squads. And if all that action has got you amped, join us here tomorrow at the LCS Studios. Get your tickets at riot.com/LCS tickets. It's time for another break, but when we return, it's Cloud9 versus Immortals. See you there.